process waste analysis for evaluating the waste which is to be found within projects. We will use the 8 sources of processed waste Taiichi Ohno, a major contributor to the Toyota production system, identified 7 of the wastes, and Jeffrey Leiker, a professor at the University of Michigan, added an 8th. For good measure, let's go through them, one by one. The first waste is waiting, which basically means the process is stopped and the people are twiddling their thumbs until it's back up. Here are some examples coming out of manufacturing. The machine is down. There is some bottleneck in your operations, or there is some equipment changeover in IT that would either be the system being down, or the response time is horrible, or we're waiting for some approval, or perhaps some information. Our next stop concerns defects, which means we didn't get it right the first time. This is where the definition of done plays a very important role. Are we done when we complete the work? Or is the completion defined as a product or service that contains value? Are defects valuable? The saying in IT development is that what you think is a bug, it's actually a feature. I mentioned this example to show that IT can be funny too. The next ways we look at concerns extra processing, which infers that something is done which is not needed. So, how can this happen? Either we have convoluted processes that are not very efficient, or activities the customer is not willing to pay for. Our next process waste concerns excess inventory. Why is this a process waste? You might ask. Apart from the additional space the inventory is taking up, what about the dent it makes in our cash flow? Then of course there is no guarantee that it ever can be sold. Within this example, though, we are talking about the additional process time required for something that brings little to no value. Excessive motion is a natural source of process waste. I would even argue that this one might even be more fatal than the others. If you've ever watched some in our household get ready in the morning, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. They monopolize 3 rooms at once, and your best strategy is simply to wait until they are out of out. The house, not very productive. No, not really. What about unnecessary transportation? This could also apply to parts being moved around and around and around. What about finished goods that continue to be moved in and out of storage? I've noticed that planning helps sometimes stop. Number 7 concerns people's underutilization, and the reasons for this are endless. So where's the process waste here? Well, if you have ever worked for a company that needed 5 different approvals instead of providing trust to your employees, then you will know exactly what I'm talking about here. Our last process waste concerns overproduction, which also can take on different facets. Either simply too much is produced, which means that either our demand is not properly measured, or the pace of production does not allow for a proper flow within the supply chain. There you have it, waiting defects, extra processing, excessive motion, unnecessary transportation peoples. Underutilization and overproduction. Our 8 process waste